When the news broke that the Virgin Galactic spaceship that was supposed to ferry tourists into suborbit had crashed, killing one and injuring another, it started reverberating throughout our state. Now, the Albuquerque Journal reports that this disaster highlights a serious issue. Critics say the state put too many eggs in one basket, meaning Virgin Galactic, and this has hampered efforts to attract other tenants to the rapidly growing commercial space industry. And Rob, I guess a simple question, is that a plausible thing to you? Because we're hearing they're not going to be space flights till 2016 now, but even some are saying that's aggressive, given how space things roll. So what do you think of that?
I think it's probably a fair criticism, but I think overall I wasn't here when they passed the spaceport thing, and if I had been, I probably would have been against it. But it's been built. We spent $218.5 million in taxpayer money, so let's try to make this thing work. But all along, the problem I've had with this is it reminds me of a lot of what you see in professional sports, where a professional sports owner says, give me a better lease or I'm going to move to a different city.
That's right.
And that's a concern I've always had about spaceport, and I think it's really comes to the fore because back in 2012, a company called Xcor Aerospace was thinking about and looked like they were going to come to New Mexico, but they went to Texas because they got $10 million more.
Right.
They got a $10 million offer. And that's my concern is that this spaceport thing, we're always going to be up against larger states like California and Texas who are making better offers. And we've already ponied up $218.5 million. It's going to be a really hard push to go up to taxpayers, go to the legislature and say, you know what, if we build a better road out there, let's spend $10 million more. That's going to be a tough road to hoe.
And let's stay right on that last point from Rob Nicoleski. The spaceport people have said in the paper, in fact, they are going to ask for an appropriation this year to tide them over. Right. But we have this new House makeup now with Republicans. I'm wondering how this is all going to turn out, this discussion now.
You know, if you're frugal, you probably don't want to give them more money. Plus, you don't know what's going to happen to the price of oil. Gas is low, consumers like that, but that means we're going to get less money for the state coffers. I think Rob makes a really good point, though. The spaceport is here. And we're going to have to figure out a way to make it work because people are going to go to space, whether it's for tourism or more likely for business and commerce. And there's no reason, given the fact that New Mexico has so many flying days, we have white sands, you know, we have astronauts from New Mexico that have been to the moon and all those other kinds of things. There's no reason why we don't decide to make it work.
I'm going to counter you just a little bit and use Tom as the counter. Because it seems to me, Tom, if what Inez is proposing, that should have been happening all the way along. And it just hasn't. And we find out this week that there is a plan B, but it just started being written this week after the accident.
And in the wake of all of this, that was the one of the most surprising things as far as in New Mexico. I mean, because there's certain things that you can't control, you know, like this test flights and such, but there are certain things you can control. Like if you have a $212 million, you know, investment, and you don't have a marketing plan for that, and it was 2006 that this was passed. We're approaching 10 years that the spaceport has been a part of the New Mexico landscape. And all of a sudden, you know, I find myself thinking and quoting Mike Tyson, that everyone has a plan until you get hit in the mouth. That's right. That's right. Well, New Mexico and the spaceport just got hit in the mouth, and they don't have a plan. That's right. And that's a little disturbing to me.
But I think there's a lot of there's not even a person in charge of this at all. At this
no
point,
marketing, and you have places like Texas, Florida, California, who are very good at this.
That's right, and their governors have shown a strong commitment to this.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Yeah.
So how should the taxpayer feel? Either the local taxpayer in those counties there who have been dinged for this already, or all of us. The wait-and-see attitude. How long can we wait and see with this?
I think that the message that we've gotten is that we really can't wait and see any longer. I mean, I think it's been fascinating to hear some of the criticisms of the spaceport that really haven't come forward before now. For instance, the building is beautiful that we have there, you know, the facility there is beautiful, but it's not scalable. Because of the way it was designed, you can't easily add space for additional companies.
The cylindrical
it's round.
shape doesn't allow it to.
And I mean, I sort of wonder whether the intention was always, it seems to me, it's not even a wonder, that Branson would, you know, descend from the sky, I guess literally, and that would be the entire engine for that area. I think to the question you asked Inez, though, if you are a legislator, a big part of this is going to depend on what part of the state you're from. I'm not sure it really falls out into Democrat, Republican. I think it has more to do with tasked with protecting that part of the state, the constituents in that part of the state, and I think that's where we're going to see that fall out. It is shocking to me, as Tom said, that they have had no marketing staff, that they have really just done kind of outreach on an executive level, and that just seems very short-sighted.
Exactly right. One of the things that has come out, Rob Nikolewski, is we have horizontal taking off, we have vertical taking off. One we're planned for these Spaceship Two and all that, but the other we haven't done quite well with, and that's where the other states Tom mentioned are doing well with. They're doing vertical launches for the space station, for all those kind of things. So there is something we could be doing, but not for cheap money. To build a new launch pad would be some dough.
But in the spaceport's defense, SpaceX is the other tenant. So far there are two tenants, one customer. The one customer is Up Aerospace out of Colorado area. The two tenants are Virgin Galactic and SpaceX, Elon Musk, of Tesla fame. So they've got a lease with them. And even before the Halloween crash, I remember talking to Larry Larrañaga and John Arthur Smith over at in the legislature, two pretty much fiscal conservatives, and I was asking them about spaceport. This is before the accident, and both of them said that they thought that SpaceX might be might have more potential than Virgin Galactic. Well, let's hope so.
That's right. I've heard that too. It's cheaper to fly. More folks can get in on it with a space flight as opposed to the $250,000 to go up with that. I'm still in this idea of vertical launches versus horizontal, not to get too space geeky about this, but that seems to be where the money is. NASA has been throwing money like this out there by the millions for a long time now. We haven't been able to get in on this. Can our legislature, in our view, be flipped enough to spend another $100 million, $50 million, $25 million? I mean, who knows what it would cost?
I think it depends how much money we have, and I think it depends how aggressive the state wants to be. I mean, one of the things that happened when the governor came in is there's a natural tendency not to like what your predecessor did, especially when there was such bad blood. And they did not go for the spaceport quickly, and they weren't aggressive about it. And there was a lot of questions about whether it should have been built to begin with. And unfortunately, it's built. So the idea now is to go for it. And I remember meeting with the Virgin Galactic officials. They were in Santa Fe to testify, and they came by the newspaper. They were not happy being the only tenant. They wanted other people, and they were upset that New Mexico had not done more to attract other people.
So who takes the leadership role on this? Is it the state's job to go find more tenants, or is it a consortium of space people?
Well, Spaceport America, which is a part of the New Mexico state government. But and when we look at the space industry, a lot of us growing up will think Sputnik, Gemini, Apollo, Space Shuttle. Those are all government programs. And what we're talking about here is privatized space programs, and that's really a very new industry. And so it's not like going out and finding customers. I mean, this is a very specific niche. And so, but I would say, let's empower the spaceport team to really, through this marketing plan that they're developing, let's see what it is. And, to the extent that it's reasonable and believable, then let's go ahead and fund it. But I think that they're the ones who are really in the driver's seat, as they have been for the last 8 years.
Last question, get a few seconds here. Is it in our best interest at some point as a state to draw a line in the sand with the Branson people? Say this thing's either a go or a no-go. I don't know, next summer, next fall, that kind of a thing.
What if we say, oh, it's a no-go? We have an empty building. That just seems crazy to me. I think it's important to remember that really no matter what, if we made the decision, anything from going for the moon, so to speak, to shutting the place down, it's going to cost money no matter what. And so looking at the various returns is what they've got to do.
Exactly right. Coming up, another veteran story. Santa Fe artist and Vietnam veteran Michael Naranjo sits down with producer Megan Kamerick.